Hey, my name is Martin from Onekimuralife, and this is another exercise video. This one's a good one. This is only bodyweight based, aside from a set of water jugs. Aside from that, it's only exercise bodyweight based, sorry, and I only use things that you find in a home, like a couch or a carpet and a blanket, etc. And this one's an upper body one, and we're gonna work abs, chest, shoulders, arms, lats, upper and upper back. So follow along and I'll explain all the exercises to you, and at the end I'll give you a program. So for this program, I section it into blocks again. So I do one chest block, one lat block, one shoulder block, one upper back block, one arms block. And we do 3 exercises for each block, except from the arms, we do a little bit less there. We do 3 exercises right after each other with no break in between sets. We do 1 exercise, 2 exercises, 3 exercises, then 30-second break, and then a new set. And I was a little bit inspired by ALADDIN X when I designed this program, because he has, in one of his full body programs, he done something similar where he had 3 consecutive exercises that were related to one muscle group. And the goal here is to try to stimulate the muscle. We try to get overload, and that can be difficult with just body weight, so you have to try to be creative here. So we have all these blocks, and then we do a 30-second break between, or after you've done the 3 exercises in one block, you do a 30-second break, and then the next set before you move on to the next block. So the first section we're going to work on is the chest section, and here we're going to do 3 exercises. We're going to do decline push-ups, incline push-ups, and regular push-ups, or the flat ones. And we start with decline because that is the hardest one, and it works the upper part of the chest. So what you do is you put your feet on a surface like a couch, like I'm doing, and then your hands on the floor, and then you do a push-up from there. And keep in mind that the further you, or the more you elevate your legs, then the harder it will get. But at some point you'll start working your shoulders, so don't go too far. And also, if you are struggling to do it from a couch, then you can try to have your legs on a shorter or less elevated surface. And if you cannot do it at all, then go straight for the incline push-ups. And then for the incline push-ups, it's the opposite, and you now put your hands on the couch or under the surface, and your feet on the ground, and then do push-ups from here. And here again, the more elevated the surface is, the easier it will get. So keep that in mind too. And then lastly, we do the straight push-ups or the flat push-ups. And here you can, if you're unable to do it, from your toes, you can do it from your knees to make it a little bit easier and work your way up. And this goes for all of them. Remember to brace your core and don't collapse the hips, because if you collapse the hips, then you don't do a proper push-up, or you don't work the chest properly. And like you see, the image that popped up now of the pec muscle or the chest muscle kind of shows you how the different fibers align in the chest muscle. You see the upper chest, the fibers go from top and down, and then the medial ones, or the medium, or the horizontal one goes horizontally, and then the lower part goes from down and up. So next up is the pulling section, and we're primarily gonna be hitting the lats here. And we're gonna do 3 exercises, starting with something that I've named the chair lat lift. And the goal with this one, or this exercise, or lat exercise in general, is to find something that extends the shoulder. What that means is to pull the elbow down towards the hips. And normally you could easily do this with a row or a chin up or a pull down, but since we're at home, we need to be creative. So what you do here is, as shown, I use 2 chairs. And I have a set of pillows on each of them in order to create some cushioning on my elbows. And what I do from then is that I place my elbows on the edge of the chairs with my palms facing up. And then I slightly lean back a little bit, and I have my legs straighten out. And then you brace your core, because you don't want to collapse your hips here, because then you don't get any weight to pull up. So what you then do is you try to raise up or pull through your elbows, or push or pull through your elbows, so that you lift your body up. And the goal is to only have your heels touching the ground, but you want to keep your body straight, so you get all the, so you really work the muscle. And then you go back down, and then you go up again. And you do that for the amount of reps that you can do. And then we move over to the lat pullover, which is one I've done before here in another video. Essentially, you sit on a carpet on your knees, and then you pull yourself up towards your hands, trying to use your lats. And then lastly, we're gonna do I call this one an ALADDIN pull, and you hold, because you're using two carpets. And what you do is you almost like a pullover, but this is more a pull instead of like a pullover. So you try to hold on to a carpet or anything akin to that, and you pull yourself. You can try with one arm, but if you can't do it with one arm, try to do it with both arms. Then we move on to the shoulder section. And the shoulder section consists of 3 exercises here too, and the reason for that is that we try to hit all the different parts of the shoulder muscle, the deltoid. And as you see here on this image, the shoulder consists of an anterior part in the front, and then a middle part, and then a rear part of the deltoid. And the fibers all go in different directions, so we need to try to hit it in different areas or with different angles. So first up, we go for the rear delts, and this is the reverse iron cross. And with this one, we lay out flat on our back, and we place our fists on the ground a little bit lower than 90 degrees abduction, or our arms out. And then we try to lift our upper body or upper torso up with pushing through the fists. And we want to clear the elbows off the floor. So only the upper body lifts. I also did one topless here, just to emphasize the contraction of the rear delts and the upper back. So then we move over to the lateral raise, which is supposed to hit the medial delt. So what I do here is I bend slightly forward, and then I do the medial raise, and I try to have some degree of external rotation in the shoulder. So I try to, have my thumb facing up rather than facing down, because if you have the thumb facing down, it is more likely that you have internal rotation in the shoulder. And if you abduct, which is what you do when you do the lateral raise, and you have internal rotation in the shoulder, you're more likely to injure the shoulder. That's why I don't do that. And then I move over to the shoulder press, which is a modified push-up here, in this case, because we don't have dumbbells to do a shoulder press with. So what I essentially do is that I stand up on my legs, and I try to come down in a semi push-up position, but it's more like a downward angle. And then I push off the ground. Instead of lifting dumbbells up or pushing dumbbells up, I push my body away from the floor again. So then we move over to the upper back section. And here we're going to do 2 exercises. And we're going to start off with the back widow, which is essentially the same as the reverse iron cross, but here we push off from the elbows. And as you see, I also did one shirtless here, so you can see the contraction of the upper back. And then I move over to a exercise that I call the upper back lift. Essentially, I have my arms out to the side, like you see, and I lift my elbows off the floor by contracting the upper back muscles. And then I do sort of like an overhand clap with my arms above the floor at all times. And then about midway through, I take my arms out to the sides and I do some shoulder presses before I finish off the set. So now over to the arms, and let's start with the triceps. So here we're gonna start with a close grip push-up, which is gonna hit the elbows more. No, sorry, hit the triceps more. And so you see here that my grip is now closer than with a regular push-up. And I do essentially like a regular push-up, but I push more off with a closer grip, so it hits the triceps more. And then you can either move on to a cobra push-up like I do here, which is kind of like a, the upward facing dog almost, which is a push-up where you kind of go under and you focus on the elbow extension. Alternatively, you can do an exercise that I've really fallen in love with, which is a tricep push down, which I did by using a couch like I do here. And this really hit my tricep when I did it yesterday. So you see, I really try to work the triceps here. My elbows are almost parallel to my torso, and then I try to only work the elbows here. And I also added a little clip here of how you suboptimally hit it, where it kind of turns into more like a push-up-ish type of exercise. And you see my elbows here goes way behind my torso. So don't do that one. Try to do the one where you focus on the tricep extension. So for biceps, we're gonna do two exercises. We're gonna do another variation of the ALADDIN carpet pull, and we're gonna do a regular bicep curl. So for the carpet pull, this looks like what I did earlier for the lats, but now we focus on flexing the elbow joints. We pull the hand towards the shoulder instead of what we did with the lats when we tried to pull the elbows down to the hips. We now try to pull the hand up to the elbows. No, hand up to the shoulder. So we try to flex the elbow. So we do almost the same position, but now we try to primarily focus on flexing the elbow and pulling the hands towards our shoulders instead of pulling our elbows towards our shoulders. You can try to do this with one arm, or you can try to do it with two arms. And if you don't have a carpet, try to use the foot of a couch or something akin to that. And then we do the regular curl, where we do a one arm bicep curl with I use the backpack with some water bottles in it. You can do whatever you have available that weighs something. And then we move over to abs. And this first exercise is a combination of a leg raise and a crunch. And I really try to focus on flexing the ab muscles here. So, and then if you do it right, you can really hit the abs here, the rectus abdominis, the six-pack muscle. So you do the leg raise and the crunch at the same time, and you really focus on trying to flex or contract the ab muscle. And then you can superset this with a couple of regular crunches to really, work the rectus abdominis or the six-pack muscle. And then we try to incorporate a little bit of the obliques too. So we do these leg circles where you do a circle to the left, and then, or I should say clockwise, and then counterclockwise, or opposite. And you kind of have your legs raised, and then you try to do the circles like that. And then lastly, we work the obliques again, and we do a side raise where we drop, we assume a side stand position where we are on our elbows and our heels, like I am here, and then we drop our hips, and then we lift our hips up by using our abs, or our side abs, or obliques as it's called. And then very lastly, we finish off with a plank. And I try to modify this plank a little bit, so I have my elbows a little bit in front of my shoulders to make it a little bit harder, and try to tuck the tuck my trunk a little bit on my hips. And then I also, so I don't just sit there or stand there or plank there, I try to do a little bit of a marching plank too. So that's it, guys. And as you see, I went through a lot of exercises, and I hope I showed them to you in an understandable way. And if I didn't, please let me know. And if you liked the video, please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. There I'll post many more exercise videos like this, and videos about recipes, weight loss tips, and healthy lifestyle in general. So until next time, thank you.